Hello all of you beautiful people, Jules here for WhatCulture.com. And this next sentence might lose me a lot of respect by many, if you have any left for me, but don't you ever find that superhero movies are just a bit dumb? Like, I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's literally why I enjoy them, but there are some absolutely absurd times where they ask viewers to forego any idea of reality in order to fit their story. Now, I can totally believe in a person being strong enough to lift an oil tanker over their heads, but it's more the plot holes that stick with me as just being a case of directors hoping that they can glaze over events by rumbling through an action set piece just so quickly we can't notice. However, that doesn't mean that superhero movies can't be clever, as the entries on this list prove that they're not all bulging muscles and tight bike shorts, because today we're going to look at some of the biggest mental flexes that you can find within the likes of the MCU and the DC libraries. I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are the 10 smartest decisions in superhero movie history. Number 10. Cap pretends to be a HYDRA agent. Avengers Endgame. Captain America has always had the ability to think on his feet, and there's perhaps no better example of this than when he travels back to 2012 in Avengers Endgame. So here, Cap's mission is to acquire the Mind Stone from Stark Tower, where it's housed inside Loki's scepter. At this point, it's being transported by a corrupt S.H.I.E.L.D. unit that is actually working for HYDRA. Things look like they're going to get all punch-happy when Cap catches up to them and orders them to hand it over. That is, until Cap leans over and whispers into Sitwell's ear the iconic words, "Hail Hydra," ingeniously implying that even good old Captain America himself is a sleeper agent embedded within S.H.I.E.L.D. As such, Cap's able to avoid a second elevator fight and walks out safely with the scepter. That is, until he meets himself, but that's a different story. Number 9. The Joker switches Rachel and Dent's locations. The Dark Knight. One of the Dark Knight's most iconic sequences, of which there are many, is the famous interrogation scene where Batman quizzes the Joker about the disappearance of both Rachel Dawes and Harvey Dent. And by quiz, I mean he practically beats the Joker to death. The Joker eventually explains that the two are hooked up with explosives in separate locations, and the Caped Crusader will need to choose which one to save. After learning the apparent locations from the Clown Prince of Crime, Batman heads off to save Rachel, while Commissioner Gordon chases after Dent. But as it turns out, the Joker knew that Batman would pursue the object of his affection rather than Gotham's White Knight, and so pulled the old switcheroo, causing Batman to discover Dent instead. In straight-up trolling Batman, the Joker killed the love of his life and corrupted Gotham's greatest hope for a brighter future. He played Batman in a way that Batman could never really avenge without breaking his one rule, and that is bloody smart. Number 8. Vision picks up Mjolnir. Avengers Age of Ultron. When Vision first arrives on the scene, it's not without warrant that the Avengers view him with hostility and suspicion. Hell, even when he's trying his best to motivate them to defeat Ultron, he's almost ignored. Well, he's ignored, that is, until he casually picks up Thor's hammer Mjolnir mid-conversation. This seemingly simple act, for Vision at least, cut through all of the Avengers' fear about his intentions, confirming his worthiness and good nature by his ability to wield Mjolnir alone. And from a storytelling perspective, it was a brilliantly elegant way for Joss Whedon to move the plot along quickly and unite the team. Number 7. Mr. Glass's supervillain plan is a massive red herring. Glass. M. Night Shyamalan's latest effort may have received mixed reviews and ended in a rather confusing and altogether disappointing way, but it did manage to deliver one truly brilliant piece of subversion in the final moments. Here, Mr. Glass seemingly sets the stage for a totally typical final superhero showdown between the Horde and the Overseer that's going to take place at Osaka Tower, a giant skyscraper about to be completed and unveiled to the public. Both the audience and Dunn are duped into believing the same lie, that Glass will use the media presence there to expose the existence of superpowered people on Earth, when in fact he's been playing 4D chess and has a whole other plan in mind. As we know by now, the scrum doesn't actually happen there, but in a parking lot of the psychiatric facility where they're all being held, all because a secret government force is preempting their escape and are trying to hide their existence. But wait, there's a big twist that happens after we've said goodbye to the main cast in the form of Mr. Glass's final plan. As it turns out, Glass had previously hacked the mental institution's security system in order to stream the battle between the Horde and Dunn to his own network, which is then set up to forward to his mother, the Horde's surviving victim Casey, and Dunn's son Joseph. The film consequently ends with the three releasing the footage online for the world to see, ensuring that Mr. Glass's plan was carried out exactly as he intended. It's a clever moment that, while being marred by stumpy storytelling, is still an excellent plan on paper. Number 6. Edna's No Capes Rule, The Incredibles. Edna Mode is surely The Incredibles' most beloved supporting character, a delightfully demented fashion designer known for her work with some of the world's most famous superheroes. She truly came into her own, however, when meeting Mr. Incredible to consider a new costume design. After he insists on having a cape, Edna stubbornly insists, "No capes!" And it's here that we get to see one of the best critiques of the superhero genres, in that Edna showcases a ton of superheroes whose capes were actually their undoing. Not only is this morbidly hilarious, but it actually cements Edna as the smartest person in the room. Hell, she's even smarter than Syndrome, who also falls foul of his flowing fashion faux pas. Number 5. Arnim Zola embeds Hydra within S.H.I.E.L.D. Captain America: The Winter Soldier. As I mentioned earlier, the MCU was hit hard by Hydra's sleeper agents, but that couldn't have taken root without the work of villainous scientist Arnim Zola. The culmination of his and other nefarious evildoers on the payroll was Project Insight, which would have used 3 heavily armed helicarriers to instantly annihilate 20 million people who were believed to be Hydra's political enemies around the world. With these dissenters dead, Hydra would then be able to take control of the world with relative ease. They had sleeper agents everywhere, politicians, soldiers, even your mum, although she was a different kind of sleeper agent, but she still loved the leather though, but just not quite in the same way. Zola even defied death himself by having his brain downloaded into a supercomputer. Considering that pretty much no one saw this coming and yet the event didn't feel like a cheap shock, is pretty immense, and it's scary to think how close Zola came to getting what he wanted as well. Number 4. Doctor Strange traps Dormammu in a time loop. Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange has been a bastion of smart decisions throughout his time as a superhero. Though him giving up the Time Stone to Thanos in Avengers Infinity War was a masterful feat of long-term strategy, his plan to defeat interdimensional entity Dormammu was just as creative. In order to stop villainous zealots from bringing the Dark Dimension to Earth and effectively destroying it, Doctor Strange heads to the Dark Dimension to confront Dormammu himself. Strange claims that he's there to bargain, when in reality he's used the Eye of Agamotto to trap both himself and Dormammu within a time loop. And so when Dormammu inevitably kills Strange, the cycle simply begins again, and Dormammu soon realizes that he can't kill Strange in order to escape the cycle. He needs to give him what he wants. Dormammu eventually agrees to leave Earth alone and recalls the Zealots back to his dimension, proving that if you want to get someone to do something for you, the most effective way is to annoy the living hell out of them until they do it. Brilliant message. Number 3. Mystique fills Magneto's security guard with iron. X2 X-Men United. The second X-Men movie sees metal-manipulating supervillain Magneto sealed inside a plastic prison, where he's totally incapable of using his abilities to effect his escape. But of course, he's a man with a plan, and this plan involves getting Mystique to hit on his security guard at a bar, after which she spikes the guard's drink and injects him with an iron solution. As a result, when the guard enters Magneto's cell the next day, Magneto is able to sense the iron and use his powers to forcibly rip it from the guard's body, forming ball bearings which he then uses to shatter the plastic prison and escape. This is a shining example of a supervillain using their noggin to take into account all the possible factors, the specific conditions of his imprisonment, and how to exploit the real flaw in any security system, the easily compromised human element. Number 2. Ozymandias triggers his plan early. Watchmen. Though Zack Snyder's movie adaptation remains fiercely divisive amongst fans, the director absolutely nailed the stunning sequence where Ozymandias reveals to Rorschach and Night Owl 2 that his dastardly plot is to unite the United States and the USSR against a common enemy, in this case, Dr. Manhattan, by framing him for a spat of energy reactor explosions worldwide. Now, Rorschach and Night Owl plan to stop him, but he promptly tells them, "I'm not a comic book villain. Do you seriously think I would explain my masterstroke to you if there was even the slightest possibility you could affect the outcome? I triggered it 35 minutes ago." Consequently, his plan goes off without a hitch. The energy reactors explode, killing millions, Manhattan is framed and forced to leave Earth forever, and humanity unites itself against him, and world peace is achieved. You can certainly question the morality of these actions, but the guy is known as the world's smartest man for a reason, and he proved so with his perfectly executed endgame. At number 1, Royal Pain hides her true identity, Sky High. And now for something a little more niche, we have the surprisingly entertaining 2005 movie Sky High. And I know it's not an MCU or DC one, but I kind of tricked you at the beginning because that too was my master plan. In the third act, it's revealed that the movie's antagonist, Royal Pain, is actually Gwen Grayson, a beautiful and popular superhero attending Sky High. And it's a genuinely surprising reveal that has an unexpected amount of thought put into it. As it turns out, Royal Pain decided to assume the guise of an intensely stereotypical girl-next-door to charm protagonist Will Stronghold and, well, pretty much everyone else attending Sky High. This is all the result of a vendetta Gwen holds against Will's father, the Commander, for a confrontation they had many years prior. And by donning such a seemingly harmless persona, she manages to operate in Sky High undetected until making her big reveal. I mean, sure, she's ultimately foiled by the heroes, but by exploiting all of the students around her, she very nearly scores vengeance against the Commander. And there we go, those were 10 of the smartest decisions in superhero movie history. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know down below any others that you'd like to see on a future list. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me at RetroJ over on Twitter. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.